Narrating the Yanomami people and the work of Western men who decide to establish with them contacts and permanent activities means narrating stories of journeys, both personal and communal. Journeys that are physically tiring and culturally enriching, unexpected and memorable journeys. Our troupe prepared for weeks for the journey in the land of the Brazilian state of Manaus, where there are 2 important Salesian missions among the numerous indigenous villages. The population is estimated to be between 27,000 and 30,000, spread out over less than 10 million hectares on the frontier between Brazil and Venezuela, in the vast water network comprised between Rio Negro and Orinoco.
Eu saí de madrugada, fui até o sol entrar. Eu saí de madrugada.
The air flight has proved to be the simplest itinerary. The true challenge was to cross almost impracticable dirt roads and sail through twisting and often dangerous channels, ways that plunge the voyager in an amazing sight of light, sounds and scents. Children and boys greet our arrival as an occasion of feasting, an occasion to show their skills. Before, I wished to work in the missions because I had known several other missionaries who had worked here. Speaking with them had stirred a great interest.
Conversando com eles me despertou assim muito interesse.
I was attracted by their courage to live amongst so many difficulties, their challenges to face the work. All this enticed me, aroused my curiosity and induced me to do the same. These are very simple people that easily adapt to circumstances and are content with few things. As you can see, in this reality, houses are very simple, with nearly no furniture, with no tools. Their tools are for everyday work. There is no luxury. This simplicity attracts me. It has an impact on me. I highly esteem this style of life. The Salesian community is present in Maturacá since 1956. The mission is located in the center of 4 Yanomami villages that host 1,000 inhabitants. Here, life is simple, but a few elements of schooling are necessary not to be overcome by Western speculators. The youngest, thanks to the missionaries, attend school and learn to read and write in their indigenous language. New technologies are to Yanomamis a wide appeal for modern cultures. Each village possesses at least one telephone that is used not so much to communicate, but to take pictures and entertain the children and the boys. Also, the most fashionable music in Western culture is a great attraction for Yanomamis, and the youth in particular. Men devote most of their time to hunting and the rituals related to it. Women and children are excluded from it. And they are also excluded from those parts of the village where men explicitly gather to prepare for hunting. To film these moments, it was necessary to request a special permit from each man. In fact, Yanomami tribes do not have a chief, but each head of the family freely expresses his own opinion. When they ask for something, it means they really need it. This is a simple life that greatly values daily life. People spend much time talking with the others, to narrate stories, jokes, to play games and laugh. And this requires more time. The people are surrounded with these things. In other words, the more you esteem people, the longer you stay with them. All this, to my advice, is very interesting. I always feel welcome by them. The work of the missionaries is essentially didactic and educational with regard to the youngest, and is also one of first evangelization with regard to the various communities. In their turn, the missionaries try to learn the costumes of the indigenous. Amazonia is a special land, unique because of the heavy rains, besieged by luxuriant vegetation, potentially not favorable to cultivation. All Yanomami villages present the same structure, maybe since thousands of years. The huts of the various family nuclei are arranged in a circle around a clearing.
Quando começou de entrar a missão salesiana, nossos pais todo mundo era atrasado.
When the mission started here, our parents were very backward. Today, nobody wants to follow the example of what our parents did. Quarrels, wars. No, this does not exist anymore. We no more want to kill anybody. This happened in the past, but now no more. In those times, nobody knew what type of government there was in Manaus. The FUNAI, National Indian Foundation, did not work. It did not provide any kind of assistance in this region. This is why Yanomami killed and got killed, because the FUNAI did not see, did not provide any assistance. The first to care for us were the missionaries, the priests. They were the first. After their arrival, then also FUNAI came. Neither FUNAI nor the government knew what was happening to the Yanomami. For missionaries, both as Westerners and as religious people, the witness of their life is what can be really convincing among Yanomami indigenous people. Yanomami culture speaks of solidarity, of respect for people. It also says not to steal. So these two are Christian values. Finally, there is not a conflict between tradition and religion. This aspect in Yanomami culture needed to be given more value. Christianity had to become an instrument to revive ever more these values of which they speak for thousands of years in their Yanomami cultures.
O que eu falei para o padre ali, primeiro, nós merecemos respeito. Merecemos respeito.
What I said before to the Father
Antes de chegar,
is that we deserve respect.
principalmente
Before coming here, you should have first got in touch with us Yanomamis.
nós da associação tem que ser
We, the members of the association, should have been contacted before, not Funai. Therefore, we come first.
Aí a FUNAI vai
Then, in its turn, the association forwards the request to Funai that receives our request without any problem.
Não vai ter problema. A associação
This is
que
also
pode
valid for the
encaminhar
army.
e já autorizando.
The association forwards the request already authorized by us. It is not the priest that must give permission. Here, he is only passing through. We are the ones who live in the land, who dwell here. We are indigenous. We do not intend to be in command of the situation, to be the first in everything. No. Our intention is to stay by their side, encouraging them and forming them, so that one day they may say, now we intend to be in command of our life and administer it. In order to better know the work of the Salesians with the indigenous, we decided to reach also other Yanomami missions. Sailing in Rio Negro is fascinating. It leads us out of time. The water surrounds us like an immense and extremely unreliable sea. Reaching the missions around Santa Isabel proves to be another journey full of difficulties and dangers. These extraordinary places and the people themselves are the reward for the fatigue of those who for decades have devoted their lives to these people. The Rio Negro basin is wonderful, but moving in its thick mesh of water and forest is often complicated and dangerous. Nevertheless, there is always someone willing to help, even the children. All know that sooner or later they will have an opportunity to repay. Together, we bring our boat beyond the rapids and we continue our journey.
Andiamo ragazzi, do bosco jovem te amamos de coração.
We head to other Yanomami villages. Here as well, we are given a friendly and curious welcome, especially by children and youngsters. Sometimes we tell them, whenever you do not wish the presence of Salesians here, tell us, and we will find other types of work. But they tell us that they want the Salesians, that they love us. Because they say, you did a good job. The first Salesians educated our chiefs and those in charge. And we believe in your work. After a while, this space of community life becomes a playground. ancient wisdom makes the indigenous understand the challenge of the encounter with modernity, but with the necessity not to lose the richness of their identity. Instruction is recognized as the main instrument to approach and benefit from modernity. Over the years, the Salesians conquered the trust of the indigenous and of the federal government, and they were entrusted with the task of coordinating instruction in this area. Instruction is rigorously given by indigenous teachers, but the mediation of Salesians is accepted for coordinating the distribution of tasks to the teachers and the carrying out of didactical programs. Lazarus is therefore busy visiting the teachers and the students to verify the respective demands and to report on achievements and difficulties.
Sob a luz divina, o poder da oração. É luz do sentimento a ser feliz, imagem do Criador.
Nós salesianos, nós acreditamos que a educação...
We Salesians believe that education must not alienate them, nor drive them away from their customs and culture.
A questão da...
The question of sharing is very strong in indigenous and Yanomami culture. On the other hand, when the missionaries arrived, the indigenous population got used to dependency and paternalism. Then there is another work that Father Justino, the Vietnamese, and the other Salesians who are now coming here are facing. We are working to fight this paternalism, this dependency. How do we do this work? By encouraging people to ever more assume tasks in a personal way. For example, doing the shopping when they go to the city, when they need something from the city, also concerning their health. Previously, they needed to be taken by the hand to go to the dispensary or to the bank. But we are aware that this mentality is still well rooted. It's in their blood, in their culture. This is an historic habit that comes from far away. But we are working on it, and we realize that little by little, in the 5 communities where we work, this has greatly improved.
Em quantas linhas vocês vão escrever essa redação? Aí amanhã a redação, a gente vai explicar a redação.
Another issue, I wonder whether you noticed, is also alcoholism. Alcoholism is part of the problems of indigenous people because of the media and of the contacts with the white population.
Com os meios de comunicação e com o contato com os brancos.
Nevertheless, the bond with tradition is very strong and is witnessed not only by the rituals that precede hunting, but also by the practice of indigenous medicine, which is entrusted only to elderly men. If the appeal of modernity is very strong for the youth who experience its practical benefits and have a hint of the potential new paths for culture and work, the bond with traditions and styles of life is also well rooted, because they are validated by the thousands-year-old rhythms of nature itself that here is indomitable. The river, the big waters that periodically descend from heaven and inexorably flow to the sea, establish rigid but simple and pacifying rules. These are laws that are practically unchanged in time and contribute to defend nature and keep rhythms of life that can be recognized also after decades.